Today, the people-to-people exchange between China and the United States is recovering. But there are a lot of problems between the two countries that remain unsolved. Under this kind of situation, what can drive American people to come to China or stay in China? Today, we will talk to two American friends in Beijing. The first one is Josh. He has already spent more than 20 years in China. And another one is Kian. He is a new PhD student in Peking University who just started his career in this country. Now we are at the Hutong of the Dong Sisitiao to go to a restaurant which is highly recommended by Josh.
I live just down the street, been here since 2008, and this is one of the few restaurants that is actually still here. So I come here a lot with friends, and it's Xinjiang food, so we like it. It's like a kind of a mix of East and West, and I just want to share it with you.
All right, very nice. Can't wait.
Yeah,
let's go inside. Why you pick the Xinjiang restaurant?
The reason that I chose this Xinjiang food today is because I think, whether it's the Silk Road or the modern day exchanges that we have and the diverse culture that exists in China, this is a representation of that mix between East and West. It's kind of Chinese influence.
Let us start with the char.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, have one.
All right, thank you.
Yep. The char here are actually pretty big. A lot of places today are kind of they're very small. I
have a lot of Xinjiang restaurant in Beijing, and this one could be the top 3.
I think so. And the place here, a couple of things about it are important to me. The food is usually pretty consistent. It's good food. It's authentic. But this is one of those places that hasn't changed.
Like 20 years ago, what makes you come to China? Because this is a country really far from your hometown.
I've been in China for 22 years, but I first came in 1998.
Oh wow, even earlier.
The main thing was the language. Chinese was just fascinating. It was, not an alphabetic script, so the characters were just very, very different, like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And I thought that I wanted to kind of explore that puzzle, see if I could solve it. So I did Chinese on my own. Then I took Chinese in college, and during my junior year I came to China. The communication helped a lot. I could really get to know Chinese people, I could make Chinese friends more easily, and the culture seemed very easy to integrate. I think people in Beijing are very open to different kinds of people from different parts of the country, the world, so I made a lot of friends very quickly, and it was very different from what I had grown.
When you go back to America to meet with your families and your friends, how would you recommend China to those people?
When I first came here, my parents they didn't know about the food, they didn't know what to expect, they didn't know if the people would be nice or not, so there was a lot of unknown. But they found out that it was a very nice place to come, even if you couldn't communicate, in English very easily. A lot of the changes China has seen over, especially recent years in terms of like cashless payment, transportation with the high-speed rail, things like this, are things that we don't have. China is actually kind of going ahead of the rest of the world, but this is also kind of an unknown for people. That's one of the biggest things about China. It's always changing. And when I first came, it was changing even more quickly than it is now. So I think, the fact that China is always changing and always trying new things is very interesting for people coming here.
In my conversation with Josh, I experienced the gradual integration of the American who has lived in China for more than 2 decades into another country. From language to food to culture, Josh has changed from a Chinese learner to an old Beijinger who is familiar with the current situation of China and participates and contributes to China's development. In his view, as China becomes more open up, more Americans are willing to come. Now we are at the Lianhuaci Gongyuan in Beijing, and we are going to meet with another American friend. His name is Kian. He is a PhD student in Peking University. Hey Kian.
Hey Yangshan.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, very good.
What are you doing right now?
I'm trying to figure out how to take this thing for a spin. It's a Dianping, I think you call it.
It seems like you need to use your WeChat account to scan the QR code and pay the deposit, and you can use it. Let's start learn how to use this thing. I'm gonna get another one. So Kian, why you bring me to this park? Because there's a lot of parks in Beijing, but why Lianhua Ci Gongyuan?
This park is special to me. This is where I met a lot of Chinese friends and where I come every week to go for a run and to relax. So it's a lot about the memories I have connected to this place.
China is a country really far from the United States. So what makes you come to this country, which is really far from your hometown, to start your experience?
Actually, I had several language partners who helped me learn not only Chinese, but also about Chinese culture. And so through them, I learned their whole life story and different cultural aspects about China.
Can you give me some examples about the similarities between China and the United States?
I think there's some basic biological similarities we have as humans. So I see grandparents walking around with their grandchildren in the park here, and it reminds me of my own grandparents and the family environment, the tradition, and the joy people have just singing, dancing. Even on a smaller scale, comparing to the US, I think it's similar. Like people have the same hobbies, some of the same hobbies, and they love to relax and enjoy these beautiful green spaces.
So when you go back to America, or you talk to your friends and families in America, when they ask you some new question about China, how would you answer them? What question they will ask?
They'll ask me, do I like living in China? Is it safe? What do you do? And I would say I do like living in China, and it's very safe here. I've never felt worried about my safety.
So what makes those people, your friends, ask question like about are you safe in China? Do you think what caused that kind of a misperception?
I think there's a lot of presentation of information out of context, and even some media outlets that might have an agenda to try to stoke conflict or paint China in a negative light. It needs to be said that I think the best source of information is to talk to people who actually live here and to come see for yourself what it's like.
As a new Beijinger who has been in China for 1.5 years, Kian has also gradually understood China and been integrated into the life here in the process of learning Chinese language and making Chinese friends. Today I'm going to bring together two American friends with different experiences to see their views on the China-US people-to-people exchanges today, which are currently recovering but also present many persisting problems.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Actually, the craft beer was invented by the United States, but it's getting very popular in Beijing.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I think it's great.
Why can Chinese people accept something entirely different from our culture and is from the United States?
A lot of new things come to China, a lot of innovative ideas, and then China takes them and improves on them and makes them local.
I think it reflects kind of the taste of the younger Chinese generation, because I talk to people and they say their older generation still might favor like baijiu or that kind of thing.
We can see that now today the people-to-people exchange between China and the United States is recovering, but there are a lot of problems between the two countries that remain unsolved. So under this kind of a situation, do you have any suggestions to the governments of two countries to how to improve the engagement between the two people?
I think one potentially good option is highlighting the benefits of China-US relations. All of those businesses that are doing great work from the US that are in China, those Chinese businesses operating in the US, and the people who are Chinese people enjoying living in the US, American people enjoying living in China, share those positive stories. I think if China can be confident and comfortable about themselves and share the good stories and the truth about what's going on, then I think they can attract more people to come.
I think a lot of times we need to come back down to the kind of individual level, the social level, and just make China cool, make China fun, make China attractive. So put the focus on the Great Wall, the steppe rice fields, the beauty of China, the natural beauty, the culture, the things that are cool about China, and make that a focus as opposed to very official sounding restoring people-to-people relations.
I really agree with what you just said. I personally have seen a lot of Chinese TV shows that I think are amazing, as well as movies. And if there could be a way to broaden the horizon or broaden the reach of those movies, I think people in the US would love them, and also would improve the relations between US and China if more of that Chinese media could get out.
I have heard a lot of news reported by the Western media. When China get mentioned in the United States, many politicians and media or observers, commentators, they're being very hostile. And when they mention China, they're always talking about the China threat rhetorics, and also that China is the enemy, China is a threat, all the times. When you see someone like them, what would you say to these people?
I don't believe that China and the US should be enemies at all. They should be friends.
When I talk to people who are negative on China and actually question my safety here, I share with them, I feel fine. I don't experience what you've described, and I think that's where I stop. I don't try to change their mind. I talk about my day-to-day experience, the nice people that I've met, the good experiences I've had. So I think that what we need to do is take it down a notch, not make it about changing people's minds, but about describing our own experiences, especially for me living in China. Yeah.
Just share them with the facts.
Yeah.
And if you, through our video, through our camera, you can talk to the audience from America and also other foreigners around the globe. What would you want to say?
I would just say, I'm here after 20 years. I think that I have a good life. I've experienced many good things. I've been frustrated. But overall, I think that China is a place where I can grow, and personally, professionally, and I have a lot of good friends. So in the end, it's a place that I'm willing to stay and commit myself for this part of my life. And I think that for people wondering if they should come to China, just come and see. Experience it, see for yourself. Like Kian said, it would be easier if the visa policy were relaxed, and I think that would help a lot. But I think that seeing for yourself and really experiencing China is the best way.
I think if we think about the China-US relationship, one of the key things is that China is rising. That's what people say. And I don't believe that China's rise is something that has to be at the US detriment. We should not be intimidated by China. We should see this as an opportunity. And there's some people who benefit from conflict, but the most of us, I believe, we can benefit more from cooperation.
That's right.
And if you come here, you can see how it really is. And I believe that these ties between China and the US are benefiting many people right now.
So why are you so optimistic about the China's future?
I think China is a country which is very peaceful, and I see China reaching out and collaborating with other countries like the BRICS, or for example, calling for peace between Israel and Palestine. And I see China as a rising country in the world that is trying to put a positive impact on the world.
I think that everybody in the world wants peace. China is rising, and I think China is another country that desires peace in the world. So I think in terms of US-China relations, both sides desire peace, not only between the two countries, but in the world as a whole.
Through my conversations with these two American friends, I feel that the exchanges between the people of China and the US have never stopped. On both sides of the Pacific Ocean, we laugh together and we look forward to the same goal and work hard for better lives. And we drink together and share what we have with each other. We find similarities on the one hand, and on the other hand, we also build bridges of communication for better understanding of the differences between us. Both Americans living in China and the Chinese people in the United States will and deserve to have a bright future of friendly exchanges with full confidence and sincere kindness.